But there's another behavior that we can perpetrate that can be a wealth killer, and it can be huge, and it can be wildly expensive, and it's procrastination.
Oh man, this is one. For all the things that I procrastinate in life, I'm glad financially
You never
I
did.
didn't.
Yep.
Because, and it's worth reviewing, the 3 ingredients to wealth creation are discipline, meaning you live on less than you make. If you can do that, that actually will generate the second ingredient, which is money. That's the margin that when you have money, you can actually start investing in your army of dollar bills. And that leads to the third ingredient, which is time. If you can actually put that money to work by investing for a long enough period of time, magical, exponential things will start happening to your wealth building.
But here's the problem. This is why procrastination is such a wealth killer. It significantly decreases the power of time. If we just said that of the 3 ingredients, it's one of the important ones. It's the one that can have the most impact. When you procrastinate, when you wait, when you put things off for tomorrow, you are literally taking all the power out of that ingredient. We actually have a case study to show you that this is true. So we said, Brian, let's look at 4 individuals, right? We have one individual in her 20s, another in the 30s, another in the 40s, another in the 50s. And we said each of them is going to save $10,000 per year for the decade that they represent. So Tia in her 20s is going to save $10,000 from 20 to 29. Thackeray in the 30s is going to save $10,000 each year from 30 to 39. Faye from 40 to 49. And Fanny from 50 to 59. They're all going to invest the exact same amount of money. They're all going to invest exactly $100,000 for that decade. But when you actually look at what happens, what their terminal portfolio values are worth at retirement, it's amazing. Because when you play this out, after all of them invested $100,000, Tia, who started early, who only saved for 10 years from 20 to 29, her $100,000 turned into almost $2.6 million, assuming an 8% rate of return. You compare that to Fanny, though, who waited until her 50s, and she still saved the same $100,000, but did it from age 50 to 59. Instead of having $2.6 million, she ends up with only $237,000. It is a wide contrast between when you get started and how powerful your dollars can be.
I think this is that siren song that a lot of people, even in our millionaire study, when we send out our survey every year to our clients who are millionaires, even though these are successful 7-figure people, when we ask them, what are your biggest regrets? I didn't start early enough. Even successful people say, I didn't start early enough. And I think it's because the falseness of when you're in your early 20s, you don't make a lot of money. And you're like, well, I don't make money yet. I'll wait until my 30s because I'll probably get a few promotions. I'll just barely make it by with this. And why this is so deceiving is that, yes, you don't have money, but do you realize what $50, $100, $200 a month could do for you in the long term? Don't miss out on the exponential opportunity. And we'll also show you why there's a brain trap that you might be falling into where your mindset is thinking this is the way money works, but when you actually run the numbers, it's completely different, and you are minimizing what your opportunity is.
I would say that procrastination is one of the biggest barriers to building wealth because of exactly what you just said. Excuses are never ending. There will always be an excuse of why you can't do it today and tomorrow's better and I'm going to wait and I'm going to wait and I'm going to wait and I'm going to wait. Those excuses will never go away. So just recognize them for what they are, excuses, and figure out how you can start making decisions today to move you towards your great, big, beautiful tomorrow. So let's talk about, Brian, how can we do this better? How can we combat and fight against inflation?
Well, I alluded to that there's a mindset problem. I think a lot of us, when we think of what we can accomplish or what the money can become, we think too linearly. We think in the terms of that my $500 is going to turn into eventually $1,000, then $1,500, then $2,000, $2,500. But you're just going up in small step increments. What we have found, and this is the thing that I think shocks people when I say, look, if you start in your 20s or 30s, you're going to be surprised when you reach retirement that 80 to 95% of your entire account value will not be what you put in. It will actually be the growth of what your assets could have become. So check this out if we actually apply not linear, but the exponential of what happens with compounding interest.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you think about a 20-year-old, they think linearly, okay, $500 at 20, maybe that turns into $2,500 by 60. That's linear thinking. However, if you think exponentially, you think about someone who can earn 10% rate of return that compounds on their money through time. That 20-year-old that puts that $500 to work at 20, it doesn't just turn into $2,500, it turns into almost $27,000 by the time you get to 60. It is very different. And when you recognize how powerful time can be and how compounding interest actually works and you get excited about it, it will be a huge ally on your wealth building journey.
This is something, just do a little bit. I don't care. Just do something. Just do it. A little bit goes a long way. And if you want to make your financial life as easy as possible, don't wait until tomorrow. Do it right now.
And look, your future self will thank you. We say this all the time, Brian. Wasting time is way more expensive than wasting money. So if you are someone who's falling into the procrastination trap, don't let it be a wealth killer for you.
And I'll close out one final thing. We always say try to make the good habits as easy as possible and make the bad habits as hard. One of the things you do is automate this process.
Yep.
One of my favorite things, and I think I've made so many people, I could on all my hands, all my fingers, all my toes, I could tell you different clients that every time we met, I always be like, hey, talk to me about cash flow. Talk to me about your cash holdings. But why don't we increase your monthly investments by $400 a month? Or why don't we invest, man, you are building up a lot of cash. Why don't we increase your dollar cost averaging every month up another $1,000? And, they always a few months later, they call me back. I don't even really miss it. I don't miss it. But then here's the part. I've been doing this long enough, 20 years in the future, or 15 years in the future, and and they're like, how in the heck did my portfolio get to be multiple seven figures? And I'm sitting there chuckling to myself because I'm like, always be buying. I automated that process. I asked for a little bit dollop more from you every year as you got pay raises. And without you even noticing it, the silent, patient work of building wealth was happening on an automatic for the people fashion.
It's amazing.